Good evening, all. Everybody, welcome to episode 6 of Faith in Motion. And as you can see, we have our lovely guest, Miss Candace Poindexter, or Minister Candace Poindexter. Welcome. And we are so glad that you are here today. And we are going to talk about a lamp unto my feet. A lamp
Man.
unto my Okay. So, what I'm going to do very quickly here is going to allow for you to take the floor and tell us some information about yourself, who you are, what you do, because we need to know all the good deeds. Okay. All right. Have at it.
Am Minister Candace Poindexter. I operate in the prophetic office. I am entrepreneur on multiple business with my main business being a bakery here in the Austin, Texas area. I love God. I am intentional with my praise and with my worship, and I just want to get the word out about how good God has been to me during this process and this journey. I do have three teenage children, one graduating this year, and the other two are coming, quick.
Oh,
They are some well-behaved children. Amen. I'm excited for that because a lot of people can't say that, but they are 13, 15, and 17, and I
man.
raised them up under the to have reverence for the Lord. So I think that's quite a bit about me.
Well, that is all good. And we are going to jump right in. So, this podcast is about walking in faith and truly allowing for God's goodness, His grace, and His mercy to be shown by the things that you do in your life. So, being a living testimony, or what I like to say, a faith walker. And so, with you, I want you to give me just a little bit, talk some more about your cake business. So, Candace Poindexter, your bakery, what did that look like as God led you to actually start it? How did that come to be?
It's crazy because I never wanted to do that. I was always like, oh, it's just cake. So I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee. And before I left, I would bake for people. I would sell a cake or two there, here or there. But my auntie is actually the one that gave me the name. She was like, why don't you call it Poindexter Confections? And it just stuck. And so I kept that name when I moved to Texas. Um, I used that name in Dallas. I ended up trying to getting the logo done for it. And then once I got that done in Dallas, I still worked a job. I was in early childhood education and things like that. And so I would sell a cake here or there. But when I moved to Austin, and I worked for the state for about 2 or 3 years. It was amazing because I got a promotion every year. I loved it. I was like, yes, yes, yes. And the Lord was like, it's time to go and do what I come. It's time for you to do what you come to do. And I was like, what is that? I got children to take care of. I can't do full-time entrepreneurship. I can't, it's not feasible for me right now. And then the Lord reminded me of what happened in Memphis when I didn't quit my job. Because I'm always a firm believer of a man that don't work, don't eat. And in my head, being an entrepreneur, you're not working. That's what I thought. Until I actually stepped into it full time. And I'm like, this requires faith. This requires more work than I have ever done in my life. And it definitely requires me to walk with God daily. Because one day you can have an order, like today. Today was $1,000 day for me, almost 1,000, like nine something. It was almost $1,000 day for me. But the last week it's been, like, oh, okay, let me see how we're gonna make sure everything is in place. So it goes by the day down to the moment about, how God would bless you. But you have to stay in faith. You have to have faith as an entrepreneur. And if non-believers or people who don't have faith are in business, I honestly don't know how they're doing it. I
Mhm.
honestly don't know. So now I do, custom cakes and custom orders for people to pick up. But I wouldn't be able to do it without God, without.
Everyone, she will be right back in. So just give her a moment. Let me thank you for your time.
Oh, did I go out?
You did. That's okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's why there's no way I could do this without God. No way. Absolutely no way.
So I love the fact that you said it's a day by day walk with God, because sometimes you can make a lot of money, sometimes you may not make anything. So, what advice would you give for us who are walking out on faith, or we might have just started our business or our ministry? And we have no movement, like we doing the work, but we don't see anything. What advice can you give to us? What can you tell us that is going to help us say, hey, she did it, so I know I can get this far as well.
Gonna be it's a faith walk. This walk is not for the faint at heart. Like, you have to really be determined that you are going to what you're called to do. First, we have to determine if we're called to do it. And then we make up our mind that I won't lack. If God told me to do this, then my seed won't be begging bread. If God told me to do this, and that's what I remind myself of daily. So I would say, get your prayer life together. If you don't have it together, you definitely are going to need to pray and ask God for the direction of your life.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that you are a mother of three children. How does parenting and business, how does that work?
I think you froze on me. Let's see.
Can you see me? Because I can see you. Can you hear me? Am I coming in
O-
clear?
Okay, there you go. You said I mentioned that I was a mother of three, and that's all I heard.
Okay, so can you talk about what that looks like as being a parent and also running a business as well? Because you said you have several. So what does that look like for someone like us who may be just starting, or someone that's not a parent but soon to be and is walking in their calling that God has given them?
Well, because my children are a little older, they are 13, 15, and 17. They have a tendency, they do help a lot in the some techniques and all of that, but they also have their own businesses too. So I help co-manage those businesses. Um, I'm just trying to give them, like a responsibility as young people, so that when they do get older, they make the decision whether they want to keep doing it or they want to step into another arena. So as a parent, now it's easier. Now it's a little, lighter on my load because they can help, they can understand, they can comprehend. When they were younger, it was a little harder. I had to wait until they went to sleep. I had to make sure everything was taken care of with them, and or make sure once they went to school that I took care of all of my work so that I could look after them once they got home. So it was a matter of prioritizing what I needed to do first and not procrastinating. So I probably procrastinate more now than I did when they were smaller.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
procrastination is something that I know all too well about.
yeah,
So I know what that can look like, and you can put something off and keep putting it off and keep putting it off, and then walk yourself out of the blessing or the gift
yeah.
that God has for you. So being able to do that balance, that's really good. And now that you mentioned your kids can help assist why they are older now, so they understand more and they have their own businesses. So tell me about that. So it's four of you in total, and each one of you have your own separate business. How does that look like? How are you able to co manage with them and then still do yours? Because for me, that sounds like a lot of grace is given from God
It,
so that you
it
can get through.
It's definitely a lot of grace, and they have transformed over the years. Their businesses have changed as they were younger. My son had a brownie business, and he actually sold out of his brownies every time he sold them. Kids can sell stuff. Kids will sell stuff, so he did kid Ken's super awesome brownies, and he did that for probably 3 years. And once he got a little older, around 11 or 12, he was like, "Well, can I add lemonade?" And I was like, "Okay, let's get rid of the brownies. Let's put the brownies back into my business, and then you go ahead and do full blown lemonade." And so he does Ken's flavored lemonade now, and he does really well with that. But now that he's 13, he'll be 14 this year. Sorry, my phone internet. He'll be 14 this year. He's really into anime, Japanese cartoons and things like that. He wants to open up an anime store. So I'm very flexible with them because I realize that those age differences cause them to have different interests. And so this summer we're going to build him a website and a store, um, to get him to do online sales for the anime. My daughters, their first business was jewelry. So they did jewelry, and then my sister's jewelry, and then they added soaps and things like that. So we were making homemade soaps and stuff. And now we've moved to more because they are 15 and 17. The 15-year-old wants to do a makeup line. The 17-year-old wants to do a boutique. And so we are actually working on those things now. We have the logos, we have all of that. She wants to do a boutique with clothing and eyelashes. So they change, and I change right with them. And so one of the things that we have to make sure that we do during those changes is make sure that we're switching out those things, making sure that they're not interested anymore in their last business so that they can pivot. And I think that's one of the biggest things that us as entrepreneurs fail or we miss, is because we don't want to pivot. And we have to understand that in this season, we're going to either have to pivot or die. There's the only two options. Nothing is constant but change. We're going to have to change with the times. Even in my business, I am preparing to do more online things so that I can move my business into a place that I need it to, so that it can be more functional on its own. So it can be a more independent business and run basically itself, so that I could get away from custom cakes and things like that, as opposed to selling the cake jars and, the treats online, so it can basically run itself. We as entrepreneurs have to not be afraid to pivot. Don't be afraid to shift the plan. Don't be afraid to shift, because shifters are millionaires. If you're able to shift, you're able to make the money for that season. But if
Oh,
you're not willing, if you have that fear and you want to stay in that same spot, no, I'm just going to sell cake. No, I just want to do this. You're going to miss it. You're going to miss it. So that's the big, I don't know, I said a lot, but that's the biggest thing. Be willing to shift.
but that's huge, especially as it pertains to business, because everything does change. Businesses
Mhm.
change. And when you talk about being willing to shift, so the very first business that I had was hair. Everybody know I love hair. I'm a braider. I mean, I still love hair to this day. I can watch a hair video. I can learn a different hairstyle, and and do it in a matter of minutes. So I like that, and I can go into the hair store and lose myself in there because that's my favorite store to go to, right? And so
Yeah.
when the Lord told me that I had to walk away from that and shift, And I was like, but shift to what, Lord? Like, you know what I mean? This is something that I have been doing. But what I realized is it wasn't producing what I needed to, because when I went full throttle and, completely submerged myself all in everything here, yes, I was doing and making, ends meet. I was making money, as you said, things were shifting here and there. And then when I moved, my business started picking up before I left from New York, Buffalo, New York, to come to Texas. And then when I got here, it was like on a standstill. I put myself out. I tried to adjust and shift and do different things, learn different techniques, because I was good at that. I can learn a technique like this and then, practice. And I realized that clients wasn't coming. So I went back and got a 9 to 5. And then, I would still be out here and there. And then the Lord was like, no, I need you to just step away from that altogether. But I was like, well, hey, now come on. like, what
Yeah,
you talking
yeah,
about, Lord? And he
yeah.
was like, so I need you, to start your ministry. And I was like, ministry who? Where? Like, what is you saying? Right. And then I got there, I got that started and I was like, okay. And I started coming out with magazines and I'm like, oh God, this is, this good. And then he was like, okay, so I need you to shift again. And I was like, well, what does that look like? Like, what am I doing? But I had to still trust him in there, right? Because he gave it to me. So as you were saying earlier, as long as it's given, God has given it to you, then he's going to provide the provision, right? And he will give seed to the sower. So sometimes that might be launching strictly online, like you mentioned, or it might be, hey, completely walking away from that one job and doing something totally different that you didn't think you would do. Here, doing the podcast, I was like, Lord, do what? No. Like, you want me to shift to do what? Just talk to people?
Absolutely.
I got a no problem with talking to people, with talking
Yeah,
to people. But I understand it's not me, because it's a different set of people that he need me to reach, right? And so I don't sound like everybody else, and I'm not supposed to. But that's the whole idea, because everybody who God has that's waiting to meet you, he's going to put you where you need to be seen. So I love that. I love that you talked and allow for your kids to shift and pivot as they need to once their heart changes or desire changes. I love that. And it's so easy for y'all to ebb and flow, because it doesn't sound like there's no stall, no stagnation going on at all. Like, y'all literally just readjust your whole life. People don't know what that looks like. So to hear you speak about it, not just for yourself, but for 3 other people that you are responsible for, and then allowing for them to have a business. So once they graduate, if they want to continue to do this, they can be very successful at a young age. And that's huge. We don't think about allowing for our kids to start a business. We think about putting them to work in our own business. And a lot of times that's not what they want to do. All my
right.
boys is like, Mom, we know watching you do here, listen to you talk about it, we could probably do somebody here, but that ain't what we doing. Like, we don't want to do that. We don't want to take over the hair business. Don't give it to
Right.
us, because we're not
Right.
interested in there. You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So that
Exactly.
was huge.
Yeah. One of the things that my pastor spoke about on last week, she said, Candace, she said, what God is going to do for you in this next season is fund your passion. And it's a difference when you're doing a job to make money, and you're doing a job because it's your passion, or you're doing something because it's your passion. And she told me that, she said, in this season, God is going to fund your passion, not what you do to pay the bills. And not because I had gotten comfortable in doing the cakes, because I'm like, oh, God told me to do this. Yes, but God is also telling you to pivot. It's time to shift. We have to have our ear to the mouth of God. So when he does say shift, we're able to move with him, and we're not stuck in our last season. The thing about a true entrepreneur, not just a true entrepreneur, a person who hears from God, is if he tells you to start one business and 10 years later you start another business and you make 100,000, and then 10 years later you start another business and make, a 500,000, or whatever the case may be, the thing is, the reason why you're able to do that is because you shifted and you pivoted with God, with what he said. And that means you have to stay current with him. That means your relationship has to be up to date. Otherwise you'll be stuck. at
Ooh,
Poindexter Confections. You'll be stuck at your last. "Yeah, well, God gave it to me. I don't want to leave it. It's my baby." Baby, look, once you've grown those things up, they're just like children. Businesses are just like children. Once you grow them up, you have to let them go. And that's what we don't like doing.
ooh, girl, listen, but you just said so much. That whole, like, we ain't even got time to dig that all apart because you literally just said so much in there. Oh, that's beautiful. So talk about a little bit what your actual desire is. So we know what that looks like for you.
My desire, my passion is to help women like me who have so many ideas. There are 1,000 ideas and businesses in my head. Um, but also I still had to raise my children in the process of that. So I want to help women sort these things out so they can become great. I want to create a sisterhood where women don't feel like they're alone doing this. For the longest during my walk, people called me crazy. I was out of my mind, all of that, because why would you quit your job and you have these children? Wait, why would you be an entrepreneur and you need to go to work? Why would you do that? And now they see why. Now they understand why. I did it. My faith in God, it can't be, you know, I'm not gonna say too much. I'm not gonna say it can't be touched because that's when trials and stuff will come. I'm not gonna say that. But what I'm gonna say is I had to build up myself in my most holy faith. I had to trust God with all my heart, mind, soul, spirit, all of that. If I was really gonna do this thing, if
Radical
I
faith.
was really going to, yeah, if I was really going to step into this. So my passion, I'm starting this nonprofit organization, and my pastor, she was right on it. It was like, wow, that's amazing. Nobody knew I was, she didn't know that I was going to, that I wanted to start it. And I had been getting the stuff for my 501c together to do my nonprofit organization. But it's called Seven Sisters. And I want to build a sisterhood, a community of people willing to help you and not compete with you. Because that's something that I ran into also in the entrepreneur world and amongst women is they're competing. They're competing. Even if they don't say they're competing, it's like it's not a competition. Let's work together and we can get there together. And so that's what I want to build. That is my vision. That is my passion right there.
And that is beautiful because collaboration is something huge. If more people would work together to build, and then they can find out that it's going to go smoothly. And it might even go better collaborating with someone else because the people that God has for you to meet, for them to buy your stuff, is your people. Who He has for the next
Yeah,
person is for them. And if He can allow for y'all two visions to come together or assist each other in the same way. So I may not need anything that you have going on in particular with your business, but the ideas or the foresight or the fact that you have already been where I'm at in business right now, so you can help me along the way that time. Sometimes it's just giving us wisdom and knowledge of what you have already experienced and went through, and
exactly.
not to be afraid to share and love on your other love on your sister or your brother. And so that's huge because a lot of people don't do it. When we
Yeah,
come down to really talking about doing it and then actually showing up to do it, it's two different things. So we can, applaud the person for wanting to go forward, but when it's time for us to, present ourselves in that way, that's a whole different ball game. And people don't really understand the value of sometimes just that, hey, go left. I see where you're going. I understand where it's
yeah,
coming, but make that left right there at that corner, and you're gonna walk into everything else you need. Sometimes that very, very simple. And you didn't give me no money. You didn't even tell me what to do. You just said turn left. Okay.
that's
Like, I
it.
see where you're going, just turn left, and we miss how huge that is. And we miss how huge just sharing somebody's information is, so coming, that's another reason why God gave me this podcast. He was like, no, I need you to show them what it looks like to walk in faith. I need you to show them that it is okay for you to go ahead and leave from the land that you know knew everything about, and you come to a place that you don't know nothing about or no one. It is okay because I'm going to still provide for you. It is okay to look crazy and trust me in it. It is okay to go
Yes,
ahead and speak about me all day long till your hair turn gray. It's okay
yes,
because I'm going to do some other things. And so that in itself was very big. I don't want to hold you up because I know you have some things to do, but I absolutely love this. So how can we find you? How can we support you? Share on what information you have as far as your social medias, and then I'll make sure to give it and drop it in the comments as well, so that people would be able to find you and support you. And I definitely want to bring you back on because I'm excited about the sisterhood. We need to have more people that want to do and help the people of God. And also, not just the people of God, there is some non-believers that's gonna come your way. And you're gonna
yes.
have to give them the light and show them what it looks like to walk in this light, right? And show up and to show ourselves friendly, because that's what Jesus did. That's how he was able to get more people, because he showed himself friendly to the people that nobody would spit on if they was on fire. You understand? So
Yes, most definitely. That is most definitely the truth. I don't want it to be just for believers, because who are you reaching if you're just hanging around believers? I want to sit at the table with everybody. I want them to see the God that I serve. And that is what is important. A lot of us close ourselves off to, oh, it's just going to be a Christian network, which, is fine, but that's not my walk, and that's what makes the difference, knowing your role, and knowing your lane. But you can definitely reach me at on Facebook as Candace Poindexter.
okay.
Can also reach me at poindexterconfections.com. And then my business number is 512-975-0950. So I'm reachable, I'm Googleable. You can pull up Poindexter Confections.
Yeah.
You will see all of my information.
Yes, yes. Did you hear y'all?
Yes,
She says she is Googleable. So I'm gonna need you to Google her so you can find her
yes,
and see her. All you need is the name. She didn't gave it to you loud and clear. We're
yes.
gonna drop it in the comments. Anybody who has an ear to hear, I'm gonna need you to go ahead and check my girl out and see what she's all about.
Amen.
I thank you
Amen.
so much for your time. And like I said again, we will have
You're
you back.
welcome.
Just love it every time with you. Is always a moment in itself. So I appreciate it. Keep doing what you're doing and allowing for God to live,
Yes.
really come and speak through you. So have a great one. Bye bye.
Thank you. God bless you. Bye bye.